Setup. The next guest, though, is a pretty accomplished musician himself, but his claim to fame is actually as a vampire, as also the most ruthless and best fighter in the Cullen family. But he makes not just those choices, really interesting movie choices to, I guess, add to the second half of his career. So really excited to get into that. Plus, a lot of you can probably relate to the idea of wanting to do something for a living where your parents, just as they say, don't understand. Can you imagine being a Texas high school football player and looking at your parents and saying, you know, Dad, I want to go to the theater. Can you imagine how that's going to play out? That's exactly one of the things that our next guest had to go through. So we'll kind of dig as deep as we can into him. And no, you girls and at least 10% of you men will start screaming. Jackson Rathbone's here. Here's his bio.
Jackson Rathbone, or to many of you Twilight freaks, I'm talking about Jasper Hale, the charismatic vampire, let's say, who has the ability to manipulate emotions. Can't he once manipulate Edward to smile? So mopey. But Jackson, there's a lot more going on in his life than one would think. Born in Singapore, lived everywhere, Indonesia, London, Connecticut, California, and Norway, before his family settled in Midland, Texas. Incidentally, that's also the childhood home of this feller, George Bush. But if you watch Friday Night Lights, you know that football is a big part of Texas high school, and Jackson played football. So can you imagine the drama he caused in his family when he decided to quit football and focus on acting? In fact, it was such a big move, he had to relocate to an arts academy in Michigan. There he met a couple of guys, and they started a band. Those guys are still in a band called 100 Monkeys. But acting is the center of Jackson's universe, and he just doesn't do the whole Twilight stuff. He's got a new movie that's very good and very complicated called Girlfriend. Girlfriend is the story of a man with Down syndrome who has a tangled love affair with a single mom.
Oh, you're dating her, huh?
Jackson also produced the movie and played the rather angry ex-boyfriend.
Hello, everybody. Please welcome Jackson Rathbone. Thanks for coming, man. It's a really good movie. It's a really good movie, this Girlfriend thing. You didn't just act in it, but you also produced it. Your band scored the music for it as well. Why'd you get so heavily involved in this particular project?
Well, I've been looking for a project to really kind of start off my production company with, Patchmill Entertainment, and my bandmate, Jared Anderson, actually brought me the script. He had met Justin Lerner just after the Sundance Festival, and Justin Lerner is our writer-director. And Justin Lerner, he had a short film called The Replacement Child, which Jared really kind of fell in love with, especially one actor in that film, which was Evan Schneider. Right. And he told me, he's like, man, you got to check out this short. I'm going to be doing a film. We're going to try and center it around Evan because he's so fantastic.
And he's executed in a very interesting way. I mean, Evan is the character and the actor have Down syndrome, and he plays a guy that falls in love with a girl, and he tries to get her to be his girlfriend.
Which, I've done.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And he did a pretty good job, actually.
I think he did a lot better than I ever did. That's why I'm single right now.
That's right. Oh, that's good, right, ladies? But it's, this is really, are you in the chair? Remember, if your ass isn't in the seat, you're too big a fan, right? What was the between takes with Evan? I mean, Evan did a great job in this film.
Oh, yeah.
But what was the between takes between you and him?
It was fun, man. It was like, we'd be doing, like, these kind of rough scenes together, and then, like, right before and, like, right after, we'd just be having a good time, just kind of, like, chatting it up and talking about how excited he was to be working with me, and I told him how excited I was to be working with him. I mean,
he watched Twilight? Did he know who you were?
Yeah, he was a fan. He was a fan. He'd seen the films. He still hasn't seen Eclipse yet, so I'm trying to get him a copy of that. But yeah, he loved it. I mean, he said it was Rathbone Day when I first showed up on set, so that was a really big honor for me. I was like, I don't think I'll go with Rathbone Day. That sounds fun to me. To me, it was Schneider Day, so I don't know.
Fair enough. This was not an obvious choice to take this film. It almost felt to me like it was a deliberate choice, because Twilight could launch you to do whatever you want, and this is clearly what you want. So tell me about the decision making to do this film as opposed to something that would be more mainstream.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. I've always believed, you know, I don't know how to put it, but from A to A, it's from the artist to the audience, and where you can find the most direct connection. And so I think, honestly, these days it's with the independent films, with independent music. I'm not saying anything against, like, the blockbuster films or, you know, like the record labels or anything like that. I just think there's more of a direct connection between the artist and the audience whenever you can do something independent. And I've been a cinephile my entire life. I used to have to hide my film collection from my folks because they're so conservative people.
Were you like everybody else? Were you hiding pornography, or what were you hiding?
I was hiding zombie movies.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I was hiding like the George A. Romero box set. You know, it's like underneath my bed. Most kids were hiding Playboys, and I was hiding art films.
Well,
and,
how do you find your voice in that family? Being raised in, I mean, you're raised in a family of a very established community, Texas. Oil family,
Louisiana too. Yeah.
Louisiana, but like not just oil family, but like big time oil family. And you're a football player who decides, listen, I want to act. What's that conversation like with your family, specifically your old man?
Oh, you know, it's rough. It's definitely rough. It's one of those things where whenever I quit football to go into the theater in Texas, that was interesting, man. But I mean, I thought I had the argument down pat. It's like in football, I'm gonna be showering with a bunch of dudes, and then in the theater, I'll be changing with all these really beautiful women, and my odds are much easier, you know, in the theater. So I was like, it made a lot of sense to me. I mean, I originally got into the theater just because the girls were really pretty, and then I fell in love with the art. You know, but it was one of those things. I really fell in love with, you know, being on stage and the way you see an audience come into a theater and they're all in their own headspace. They've all had their issues from the day, and then after about an hour and a half, everybody's on the same page and they're walking out smiling together, having a good time. They've enjoyed a piece of art and like an artistic experience, and they've all enjoyed it together, and it brings them together. It brings people together, and that's one of the first things I ever fell in love with about performing or acting or entertaining.
Your parents wanted to send you to military academy. You had to convince them to not do that. Is that true?
That is true. I was accepted to the Virginia Military Institute when I was like 14.
It's got to suck if you don't want that.
Oh yeah, no, I couldn't see myself. I had a problem with authority, so they figured to send me to a military institute would fix that. I think it would have made it worse. So luckily I was able to convince them.
Was it a blow up in the house with your parents about this?
A few times. Yeah. No, I kind of was. You know, I feel sorry for my folks because I was a wannabe rebel. I was literally the rebel without a cause. I had no idea what I was fighting for, but I knew I had to fight against something. So they took the brunt of that. You know, it was my teenage years. I was just kind of falling into it, But then I found this school called Interlochen Arts Academy in Michigan that was a boarding school for the arts. So it's basically, okay, look, we can both get what we want. I'll be out of the house, and I'll be studying something that I believe in and something that I want to pursue the rest of my life with. And it took them, you know, until about yesterday to understand that that's true. But they've been extremely supportive of my choices.
With conservative parents, and I think a lot of people watching can identify being in a situation where their value system is not identical to that of their parents, and there's a difficulty in finding their own voice and a difficulty in breaking out. How important is it to you, or was it to you, to get them to be on board with what you're doing? Because a lot of kids will just go and do it.
Well, I definitely just went ahead and did it, and they came on board later. It was one of those things. I mean, there's no point in your life, in my opinion, I guess, that you stop learning or you stop growing. And I think through my artistic endeavors and my artistic pursuits, and my sisters as well, we kind of put our parents to the ringer and, you know, kind of opened them up to a world that they wouldn't necessarily have been that open to begin with. But now they're very proud of us. I mean, like, I'm an actor, musician, producer. My sister is a sculptress. I have another painter in my family. My little sister wants to be a dancer. It's like, you know, we've all pursued the arts.
And folks look around at each other and go, what the hell happened? What did we do?
No, they're very proud. They're very proud of us because we went off and we did what we wanted to do. It's one of those things. Like, the only thing they were ever concerned about is us following our dreams and falling on our faces. I mean, as a parent, that's what you worry about. You want your kids to have a better life than you did.
Sure.
And that's what they were very concerned about with me and my sisters.
Was it the Twilight thing is crazy, right? And yeah, what's it like from the actor's perspective being behind? We only see it from the one side, but for you, what's the Twilight? Because it allows you to, in a sense, to make films like Girlfriend, right?
Exactly. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where you find a break, really. It's like you get a lucky break and you hope to ride it. My first break came about 5 years ago, and actually I lived in Toronto for a couple months doing a TV show called Beautiful People. That was short-lived, but it exposed me to a much wider range of an audience. And from then, I was able to get more and more roles until I landed the first Twilight movie.
When it exploded, everybody knew it was going to be big, but I don't think they fully understood what it was going to mean. Did you get a sense, like at a certain point, when did you go, this has become a lot bigger than I thought it would be? It
was when I found out I had more family than I ever knew. Yeah, and they call me and they'd be like, hey, yeah, I'm your third cousin 5 times removed. How's it going? Can I come to say it? Yeah, it's like, but no, it was interesting, you know, because it definitely kind of built gradually, and it felt fairly organic because, you know, the books came first, and they really just exploded right about the time we started the filming, and so it was a good 2 months in Portland, Oregon, where we first filmed the first Twilight, where we were kind of anonymous. No one really knew who we were. We could go to the bar right next door, and we performed, actually, at open mic nights. Rob and I, we would go up on stage and kind of jam, and we used to play all around the city, and then, you know, about like a month and a half, 2 months in, suddenly it wasn't that way anymore. Suddenly there were fans outside the hotel. They were following us to set. They were knocking on our hotel room doors and leaving us gift baskets, and then there was all these
in the baskets.
Definitely, yeah, sometimes. I mean, it was interesting because, you know, you go from being a fairly anonymous actor to suddenly people know your name, and it's interesting because I once heard, you know, fame doesn't change you, it changes those around you and their perceptions of you, and that's exactly how I felt. I was like, wow, I'm the exact same person. Suddenly people know my name and what I look like.
What your record? You've got a band. Right,
yes.
well, they did the music for this film.
100 Monkeys.
100 Monkeys, right? Is that sort of the mob rules kind of idea that if 100 monkeys do something, everything will follow?
Well, yeah, it's like the idea of the collective consciousness. Once a certain amount of a population learn or understand a certain attribute or idea, it spreads throughout the rest of the population instantaneously. Right. And it's also the 100 monkey infinity theorem, which states, you know, 100 monkeys working on 100 typewriters over the course of infinity will eventually bang out a work of Shakespeare on accident. Just the chaos theory. Kind of heady. I know, for a funky rock band, it's like you know, we're not playing scientifically mathematical.
But it does mean that you have to take it seriously. It can't be just a fun band for you, right? Because if you're going to sort of set the message that like we are about something, then you have to be about something musically. So now, how has your development as a musician come the last little while?
Well, it's been interesting. I mean, I've been playing music since as long as I've been acting, since I was about 14 years old. I started off in guitar and the harmonica, and then I just kind of I fell in love with music. I taught myself piano, then the ukulele, banjo, dulcimer, mandolin, drums and bass, and one of my first instruments when I was really little in band was trumpet. So brought that back, and I started teaching myself the trumpet again.
By yourself, you could be Parliament Funkadelic.
I wish.
With all those instruments.
I wish.
All right, anthropology. What's the biggest thing your parents ever taught you?
To get respect, you give respect. To get love, you give love.
Cats or dogs?
I have a cat.
But you're not a cat person, though, are you?
I'm not. Ex-girlfriend.
Really? That happens to all of us.
Right?
Yeah, that happened to me, too.
Dude.
What'd you name your cat? What'd she name your cat?
Is Dean Hobbs.
Okay, that's an all right name.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, like Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah,
My cat looks just like Hobbes. I got to name him Hobbs.
Okay.
She named him Dean.
You don't get to call Bill the cat. Clowns, funny or frightening?
Funny.
What's your dream role?
Oh, man. A dream role? Man, that's not a quick answer. I don't know how to answer that. I always wanted to play Judas Iscariot in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Do you like the original 70s where everybody looks like a homeless guy to New York, kind of awesome?
Yes.
That is such a great film.
Exactly.
Team Jacob or Team Edward? Team Jacob or Team Edward?
Team Edward. It's my brother. You know? Yeah. The werewolves kind of smell. I don't know.
I would have also accepted Team Bella. Do you prefer film or television?
Oh, I can't. Honestly, there's no preference there.
Have you read the Twilight books?
I have.
Okay. Favorite person with the last name Jackson? Jackson's actually his middle name, but what's your favorite person with the last name Jackson?
Man, Michael Jackson. It's King of Pop.
All right. How about this? Favorite person with the first name Jackson?
Jackson Brown.
Good answer. What was the hardest hitting question you ever asked on Disney 411?
That I ever asked? Did you have a good time tonight? And I had to pitch it up my voice, too. Whenever I went into the audition, I was like 18. They wanted me to sound 14. They're like, can you talk higher? And I was like, hi, I'm Jackson with Disney 411. I can't even do it now, but yeah.
What's the most important thing you learned about women from having 3 sisters?
Just shut up.
The film is called Girlfriend. I really, really recommend you see this film. Jackson Rathbone, everybody. Good to see you, man.